Hi, Mom, it's me. I'm here to read to you St. Teresa of Avila's Book of My Life, and we are on chapter 16, and it is the stream of holy madness. So we got some catching up to do before our book club to do part two for that. So let me get going here. I hope you're having a great time and catching your naps when you can. All right. The stream of holy madness. Let's go on now to speak of the third water that nourishes the garden of the soul, the water that flows through a stream or a spring. This method irrigates the garden with much less labor than it takes to crank a water wheel or pull a heavy bucket up from a deep well, though it still requires some effort to channel the flow. But the Lord is so eager to help his servant at this stage that he practically becomes the gardener himself. God is the one who does almost everything. In this state of prayer, the faculties are lulled to sleep. They do not entirely cease to function, but they do not understand how they are functioning. The consolation, goodness, and delight the soul experiences here are incomparably more intense than what she tasted in the previous stage. The water of grace has risen up to her throat, and she is immobilized. She does not know how to move forward, and she is incapable of turning back. All the soul wants is to rejoice in this great glory. She is like a man who is already holding the funeral candle in his hand, on the brink of dying, the death he has been longing for. The delight he takes in his agony defies all description. This state of prayer seems to be nothing other than a death. It is the near total dying to all earthly things, a dying into God, and it is a joyous passing. I don't know how else to explain this. Words fail to describe it. The soul herself doesn't know what to do. Should she speak or be silent? Should she laugh or weep? It is a glorious bewilderment, a heavenly madness. In this blessed foolishness lies all wisdom, and the soul takes great delight in her unlearning. I think unlearning is a big part of our human existence. It has been 5 or 6 years, as I recall, since the Beloved first blessed me with a state of prayer, and he has given it to me abundantly. I have neither understood it nor have I figured out how to speak of it. And so I decided that when I came to this place in the account of my life, I would say very little about it, or maybe even nothing at all. What I have understood is that the prayer of quiet is not yet a complete union of the soul's faculties with the divine. I also recognized that it was a higher state of prayer than the previous one. But I confess that I could not begin to discern or describe what the difference was. And having asked for guidance from such a simple person as myself, you have demonstrated true humility. Perhaps that is why the Lord granted me the gift of this prayer today after communion. There I was, offering thanks to God, when His Majesty interrupted me to suggest certain spiritual metaphors and then taught me how to explain what the soul needs to do at this stage. I understood everything in a flash, and I was amazed. How often have I been mystified and intoxicated with love, but incapable of understanding what was happening to me? I knew very well that it was the work of God, but I did not know how He was working. The truth is, while the faculties in this state are almost totally united with the divine, they are not so absorbed that they cease to function. I am so happy that today I have understood this at last. Blessed be the Lord who has given me this gift. The only power the faculties retain is the ability to surrender themselves completely to God. Not one of them seems to dare stir. The only way that we could make them move is if we deliberately force ourselves to shift our attention to some external thing. But frankly, I doubt that we would be able to do this successfully at such a time. The soul utters a stream of praises here without pausing to compose them. It is the Lord who imposes order on the blessed chaos and puts words around the soul's overwhelming gratitude. The intellect is worthless here. The soul cannot contain herself. She yearns to pour out her praises. She is delightfully disquieted. Her flowers are already blooming and begin to spread their fragrance. The soul wishes that everyone could behold her in this state, and witnessing her glory, join her in singing God's praises. She has a profound need to share her joy. It is too great to bear alone. This reminds me of the woman in the gospel who wanted to gather, or did gather, all her neighbors. This joy must have been what the royal prophet David felt when he played his harp and sang of the glory of God. I am deeply devoted to this glorious King. I wish everyone else could be too. David is especially good for those of us who tend to be sinners. Oh God, help me. What is the soul like in this state? She wishes she were made all of tongues to do nothing but praise the Lord. She babbles 1,000 words of holy madness, trying to find exactly the right way to please the one who has taken her captive. I know a certain person who is no poet, but while taken up in this divine delirium, composed spontaneous stanzas that expressed her anguish with passionate accuracy. Her poetry was not the work of a discursive mind. She was simply complaining directly to her God about her blessed distress, and this outpouring allowed her to experience the glory that accompanied her anguish even more deeply. She wanted her whole being to shatter into pieces to demonstrate the joy she felt in such pain. What torments would the soul in this state refuse to bear? If her beloved offered her trials, she would gladly suffer them for his sake. In fact, it would fill her with delight to do so. I clearly see that when the martyrs suffered persecution, they were not doing this on their own. A great power gave them the strength to endure all things. But what more terrible pain must a soul bear when she has to return to her senses and step back into the mundane world with all its petty concerns and formalities? I honestly do not believe I have been exaggerating. There are no words potent enough to convey the exquisite joy with which the Beloved blesses the soul in this exile of hers. May you be forever blessed, my Lord. May all things praise you forever. Even as I write this, I am not free from that holy heavenly madness. This is a gift of your divine goodness and mercy. I have done nothing to deserve such grace. Please, my King, either make it so that everyone I speak to of your love goes crazy with love for you, or else forbid me from speaking at all. Lord, either grant that I have nothing more to do with the affairs of this world, or else take me out of it altogether. This servant of yours can no longer bear the trial of seeing herself without you. If you insist on her living, please, beloved, do not let her rest. All she wants is to be free. Sleeping tortures her. Eating poisons her. She watches herself wasting precious hours of this life on comforts, but nothing can comfort her any more except you. Life is empty now. She no longer desires to live in herself, but only to live in you. O my true Lord and glory, the cross you have prepared for those who have attained this state is both unbearably heavy and exceedingly light. It is light because it is so sweet, and it is heavy because there are times when the soul cannot bear to carry it another step. Yet she would never want to be free of it unless being free meant going straight to you. When she reflects that she has done nothing so far to serve you in this life, and that her only hope for serving you lies in staying alive, the soul wishes that she would never die, that her cross would grow even heavier, and that she would carry it to the end of the world. The only rest she finds is the rest that comes with doing you some small service. She doesn't know what she wants. Her only desire is for you. O my son, the man who ordered me to write this account is so humble that he wants me to address him this way. These passages in which I have gotten so carried away should be for your eyes alone. Nothing could persuade me to hold myself back when the Lord transports me beyond myself. Ever since I took communion this morning, I don't even feel like I'm the one speaking. Everything seems like a dream. If only everyone I met were stricken with the sickness I have contracted. I beg you, may we all go mad for love of the one who is called mad for love of us. You claim to love me. Prove it. Prepare yourself to receive this blessed gift from God. Most people are too sober to let themselves go as they ought to. I may well be more guilty of this than anyone. You must not let me be that way. I call you Father, and you are like a son to me. You are also my spiritual guide, and I have entrusted my soul to you. Tell me the truth and dispel my illusions. Why is this kind of truth-telling such a rare thing? I wish that the 5 of us friends who love each other in Christ could make a pact. We would gather together on a regular basis for the purpose of freeing each other from illusion. That's friendship. We would suggest ways in which each of us could improve our relationship with God. No one knows himself as well as someone close to him who observes him with love and concern for his spiritual growth. And that's the important thing, how the gaze is, whether it's from love and concern or from want, desire, or expectation. These days there are groups of heretics that secretly get together just to plot wicked deeds against His Majesty. We would also have to meet in secret because the kind of holy conversation I am proposing is not popular anymore. Even preachers are composing sermons so carefully that they will not risk displeasing anyone. Well, that sounds similar to our day and age here. Their intentions are fine, their deeds are fine, but do they convince anyone to mend their lives? No. Why doesn't the average sermon inspire people to renounce whatever stands between them and their God? Do you want to know what I think? I think those who preach at the pulpit are too circumspect. They are nothing like the apostles, on fire with love of God, casting aside all restraint. Their meager flames offer little warmth. I'm not suggesting that their fire should burn as intensely as the blaze in the hearts of the apostles, but it could be a little hotter than what I see. Do you know what I think our greatest concern should be? Becoming detached from our lives and relinquishing our self-importance. All we need to do is tell the truth and hold it up for the greater glory of God. Fame and blame should be equally meaningless to us. In fact, those who risk everything for God will find that they have both lost it all and gained it all. I'm not claiming to have achieved this kind of equanimity myself, but I'm working on it. Oh, what freedom it is to consider it captivity to live in the world and abide by its rules. This freedom is a gift from God. What slaves wouldn't risk everything to earn their ransom and return to their homeland? This is the true path. Why linger along the roadside? The treasure we seek is so vast that unless we keep walking, we will not attain it until the end of our lives. May the Lord help us on our way. Tear up what I must have just written if you think it would be best. Consider it to be a private letter from me to you, and if I have been too bold, please forgive me. Pardon me while I find the cursor here to stop the recording.